Well, hey, welcome and good morning to the Blue Gamer Bluecast morning show. It is August 29th, 2024, the day before my birthday, and another day in this awesome video game birthday week for me. Because my birthday is the 30th. I think I mentioned that before, and I don't know. I don't normally, there's nothing exciting too much about my birthday. I just feel like it's an opportunity or excuse to play a lot of video games without being judged. Yeah, I guess I go through that a lot, don't I? No, but no, just being funny. Hey, Autonomous, Chris, good to see you guys. No, but really, it's just been amazing this week. I think just for me, on a personal hobby enthusiast level, when it comes to video games, just because of all the games I'm playing this week while getting a year older. Rogue New Type, good to see you. So yeah, let's start with um there's something I was going to talk about. Should I talk about it? Should I not? Because I don't want to get into drama stuff, but I'll just say, you know, there's there's this thing where sometimes I feel like I am getting baited. Like a Forbes contributor will write an article, but then on Twitter, they had posted a GIF of someone like getting ready to type, and it was all like getting ready to do some blocking. It's almost like they know they're writing the articles that are going to get these people's attention, and then they like that's like just a bad vibe, gotta say. But let's talk about good vibes. Because so yesterday, day off of work, I spent a lot of time playing some games. So playing a lot of Black Myth Wukong. I am 10 hours in. Um, it was pretty cool what happened yesterday because so I've gone in completely blind on this game in terms of I'm not looking anything up. The closest I got to it was my older half brother mentioned something in a chat that I didn't know, and I'm really just trying to. I'm having so much fun because this game doesn't have a map, so just kind of exploring and figuring things out is a lot of fun, and it's cool because I get to a certain point, and then I'm like, well, I'm pretty powerful. Let me go back and see if there's anything else I can find, and there is. And it's like I found a completely different path that then ended up bringing me back to that point that I was at. I was like, wow, this is interesting. So it's really cool in Black Myth Wukong how much there really is going on. Like it's a really fresh game. It's a fresh take on a modern character action game. I recommend it. Chris saying Forbes loves to be a tabloid, especially on Japan. Yeah, that must be what it is. It's this kind of naivety of me like finding a journalist or an outlet and listening to what they're saying and taking them seriously. And then down the line, you find out, wait a minute, this is a lot of sensationalizing. Yeah, that's kind of the point. It's like I don't want to get into the drama, but it's almost I want to let people know, hey, I wouldn't take these people seriously. Just because the news I saw was video game related and it was inaccurate information, I was like, that's weird. But they were more stoking flames. Anyway, the other cool thing that I played yesterday, Castlevania Dominus Collection. I think I mentioned it that the day before when it came out, right? Is that when it was? I always forget that stuff. And then I beat Haunted Castle, Revisited. And then I went back and played, a little bit of Portrait of Ruin. That's right, because the Haunted Castle Revisited doesn't have achievements, but the but the DS games do. So, for instance, Portrait of Ruin, start a game. Like, how simple is that? But at least that tells me, and this is why I like achievements, is like, okay, I have started this game. And what I like about the achievements of the DS games is they're all the bosses. That way, like that, it can really help me figure out where I am in a game. Like again, if I don't play it for a while, or if I want to do the things like it says beat it on Richter mode, which I'm gonna do. It's crazy. I have already beat Portrait of Ruin twice this year, and a third time as was it Richter mode or was it a different mode in Portrait of Ruin? Because I played so many Castlevania games. I played Harmony of Dissonance. Was that the one? I played that like 3 times. It's crazy, crazy. So that's why it's so exciting for me that a Castlevania game happened to just shadow drop on during my birthday week, like, and the best thing you could ask for, the DS collection we've been wanting forever. It's crazy. And then, yeah, I didn't mention too, the Haunted Castle Revisited music is top tier music, is where, again, they take the best of Castlevania music and they just have a full-on band and orchestra redo the music, and they went all in on it. That's why I'm wondering, is the rumor of the new Castlevania game, was it the Haunted Castle Revisited and not an actual one? That's what I'm a little sad about now. Okay. So let's go to Star Wars Outlaws. This is fun. So this is, I played a bunch more yesterday. It doesn't tell me the time here, but I want to say, actually, I can pull up my Ubisoft Connect app. Whoa, hope it doesn't freeze anything. I'm gonna guess 10 hours, but I could be wrong because Black Myth is only at 10, and I thought, and I, you know, had that longer. Okay, so I'm just checking on my end real quick. Let's see. Click on 16 hours ago. Okay, I was about to say there's no way. Huh, does it not tell me game time? If anyone happens to know how the Ubisoft app shows game time played, you know what? I bet it's in the game. I bet it's in the game. So I'll just check that out later, and I'll update here. But that's one less, and not that I'm complaining, one less bit of information we get, but they can only get as much as they can for this website. Anyway, Star Wars Outlaws is good. It almost feels like, yeah, I've been there, done that open world game. But once you start playing a little more, you'll realize that it is like perfected all of the what we know of open world gaming tropes. It's perfected it. I mean, because you could do anything. Like yesterday is when a lot of how cool the game is kind of clicked in. Because and just think of it as what you would classically think of Grand Theft Auto. Because I'm in my speeder bike, I had to go sneak into an Imperial outpost you get on the computer to hack it, to get into something. And I just kept messing up, and then I got wanted by the Empire, and yeah, that's right. I decide to escape because I can't. There's a certain thing I need to do, but I don't have the right equipment yet. So I escaped out the back, and it was pretty cool how I did it too, because I had a grappling hook, and I was on the side of the building. I was able to throw it on a tree, swing across. And there was like probe droids around. I had to like sneak by, and then I got my speeder, drove off, and then as I'm driving, I noticed the Empire's chasing me. So they're in those transport vehicles. That was the toy back in the 70s, but was featured in The Mandalorian. It's like a police car, and it's chasing me. And I'm going so far thinking I'm losing them, making jumps because the worlds are big, and it's still chasing me. And then I'm getting to the city that I want to escape in, and I notice then there's barricades, roadblocks of stormtroopers. And I'm like, wow, okay, they went all out. The scout troopers on scout bikes. There's just transports. And I mean, at that moment, I was like, yes, this is the open world Star Wars game we've been wanting. Like this, at that moment, I felt, And then as I'm trying to avoid the barricade, I crash into the side of the road and die. Yeah, that's right. So I, restart, and I like restart a little bit right outside that little area, and then I was like, F it, and I just fast traveled hit back to where I needed to be, because the game has some very generous fast travel, which is cool. And one thing that that I don't like that it has, but I almost think it's like a trade-off that it needed to do, is there are large expanses of the world that have nothing at all. Some games like Breath of the Wild, or what was that one I was playing? Dragon's Dogma. Yeah, I think Dragon's Dogma is a good example where there's like, there was another game I was playing recently where it felt like that, where it feels like there's something everywhere, and you feel constantly like in the world. It's not just there just to be there. And Let me scroll down here and see if that game pops up. I have this up anyway, right? With all these games I've been playing. It must be Dragon's Dogma, because after Dragon's Dogma, I was really like, I don't feel like playing another open world game for a while, and it could have been Elden Ring that I'm thinking. But what is neat is when you, yeah, okay, and let me go back to that one point real quick, because I'll be like out. This is when I'm out in the open world, not when I'm like in the city area. When I'm out in the open world, yeah, there are large areas where you you can't really. I mean, you could go and do whatever, but there's nothing there. But you have your speeder bike, and you can call your speeder bike to you at any time, and you can fast travel at any time. So the idea really is you could go out somewhere and like be like, "Ah, there's nothing here," and then easily get out of that if you needed to. Um, I thought you just couldn't bring yourself to go back to Elden Ring, period. It was more of when I launched the DLC after just getting off of Dragon's Dogma 2, I was like, yeah, I don't feel like doing this right now. I might get back to that later. I just remember that's been the case with most Souls DLC is I'll start it and then just kind of feel burnt out and be like, yeah, I feel like I've done all this. And um the Dark Souls DLC is the one I completed completely. Bloodborne, I think I did too, but that took me. I think I had to force myself. It's so weird how that works. I guess I feel like if it's not part of the greater game, I've kind of lost interest. But I might go back to that. We'll see. But that's the thing. Star Wars Outlaws is different enough from the Dragon's Dogma and Elden Ring. I feel like Dragon's Dogma and Elden Ring are games that have evolved to kind of be these more open systems game, open world games, whereas Star Wars Outlaws takes it back to Assassin's Creed, kind of what Ubisoft is known for. These are very curated and crafted scenarios, but it's still within an open world. It's almost like you're feeling like you're part of this big world. Um, it okay, so that's the other thing I really like about Star Wars Outlaws is whenever you're in populated areas or along places that are supposed to be populated, there are people everywhere. And he did a really good job of that. It always feels like there's someone somewhere doing something, and they never feel static. They always feel like they're doing something. It is a really cool feeling when you're walking around. Yeah, because what was I doing when I was first exploring? I think one of the first little landing zones or whatever. I went to every nook and cranny and just see if there's sometimes little collectibles to pick up. But there was always like I remember, yeah, I was walking in the city, and then I just went to the back of this workshop just because like the guy didn't stop me, and he had this big area in the back. When I went back there, there was like 6 people working on speeders. And I was like, that's really neat to see. The world feels lived in. So when I'm walking around, I'm never taken out. In fact, a lot of it reminds me, this is what I kept going back to. The feeling of when I was watching Blade Runner 2049, the way they shot the scenes within the city, especially that chase when they were trying to find the girl or whatever. I kind of forget some of the story. I just because it's interesting. What I'm trying to get at is Star Wars Outlaws isn't anything new, different, interesting. It just does it all right, where it's the maximum of how a game pulls me into its world, where I don't feel like I'm taken out. Where playing Outlaws, there was only one time that I was like, okay, I'm done playing. And that was one of the first stealth sections that if you get caught, you got to start over. It's not as bad now that I understand more of the gameplay mechanics and the purpose and how it works. I'm actually fine with that stuff. But I think the problem was introducing this segment early in the game to get people to understand how that process works. I think that was a problem because that's the biggest complaint I am seeing and when I was watching people stream online and they get to that part for the first time, it's in the Pike territory. And even, yeah, when I was doing it, I was like, what the heck? And then I stopped. And then the next day is when I streamed. If you watch my stream, that's when I from a couple days ago, I just got past it. Okay. And then let's see. Yeah, Rogue New Top. I haven't finished either DD2. or Elden Ring even once. I just need a lot of time. Yeah, that's the thing. I think the only reason I've been able to beat them is because it's just kind of this built-in like gaming. I tend to really spend to me, if anyone says they've beaten Dragon's Dogma 2 or Elden Ring, I find that to be an incredible achievement. Even for me, it was. And it's the time commitment. It's not that, yeah, sure, the game's challenging, but it's the time commitment. And when you have a family, it's hard. Even when the Souls games first came out, is when I had my first kid, and I wasn't able to. I remember thinking, yeah, I can't pause Demon Souls. This game's not going to get beat. And then after they got older, got into the Souls games. So it's funny how that works. Autonomous. This sounds kind of like GTA in a way, with you being able to do open world largely free and your actions have consequences with the authorities. Yeah, it's exactly it, because like I was talking about, I could go in the open world, stir things up with the Empire and have Empire battles. I'll even see them land shuttles with stormtroopers coming out. And it's pretty cool because along the world as you're going, you might get something like, hey, it looks like there's Imperials are fighting to grab the stash. Maybe during the chaos, you can go in and grab the stash. And sure enough, the shuttle landed, stormtroopers came out. They were fighting this other group, and and you could just do that and not do the main missions. But what's really good about doing the main missions is each one gives you a really powerful tool to use in the game. So it's like, it's worth it. Because I just did a mission that got me this, part on the gun for EMP stuff. And it's like you kind of have to do it because of their main missions. But then again, this is one of those games where you could just go off and just goof off for a while. It's good. I am seeing people now. That's the thing. And this is another thing to watch out for. Like when I was saying, watch out for Forbes stuff. Watch out for people that are complaining about Star Wars Outlaws, but they are talking about maybe a specific section or a specific thing and not the game as a whole. Because right now, I think there is a lot of content that's popular about complaining about Star Wars Outlaws, especially after Acolyte. So, am I Star Wars fan and gaming fan opinion? Star Wars Outlaws is free from that type of drama. It's a well-made game. There's nothing going on about that. So anytime you see people just like going off on Outlaws, it's probably for the Acolyte honeymoon, right? Because with the Acolyte, all that content can't be made anymore. Okay. Moving on to Call of Duty. It shows up as Modern Warfare 2, but again, it's Modern Warfare 3, playing that with my youngest because he's on a little Call of Duty kick right now. I think he's excited about Black Ops 6, which is going to have, a free beta for those with Game Pass on Friday, which will be exciting. So, anyway, it's just fun. I think we played like 2 matches. It's fun just to jump in, play a couple matches real fast. It's just one of those enjoyable. It's like, when I don't know what I want to play, I jump into that. But since I was off yesterday and it was my game time. Yeah. All right. This other one here, Gundam Breaker 4. And I put in more time yesterday than I thought. In fact, I didn't think I was going to play it yesterday. So story is I have the PlayStation 5 Special Edition pre-ordered. The reason is the Special Edition, there wasn't a PC version. So I could get the Gunpla, all that stuff. So I got it on PS5, and for PS4, I just had a way to get the key because I was like, I don't think I want to double dip. That and what was the other thing? Like the other thing too is like that, and this will go into a greater review. I'm going to do a review, and I'll probably have it on the Gundam channel. There's 2 different types of reviews for this game. There's a review as a Gundam fan, and then there's a review as a video game fan. Unfortunately, it's doing things for video game fans that are annoying. Like there's no crossplay, which is unfortunate. Especially nowadays, that's what games need to survive. That's why PlayStation puts games on PC, because they need a bigger audience. I hope that doesn't hurt it because just real quick to get the positive out of the way, I played more than I thought I would yesterday, despite getting the PS5 version. Um, I just wanted to be able to have content to talk about for the Gundam Explain show. So and I plan to play it anyway. On PC, that's kind of what I do. But anyway, um, and I was just having so much fun. I even did a one more mission thing. I really like how in this how the combat works in this game, how you have the left and right hand and you can designate them, and then that unlocks different types of combo variations you could do. So while initially this isn't the type of game to have deep combat, in a way, depth, I guess, in terms of actions and counter actions, this does have depth and option and variety in how you want to feel when you're playing. Especially, it has this really cool. It's an awkward button combination. My hand's not good at it. It's left button and left trigger at the same time, where you can actually change kind of the targeting and the camera to be more of a shooter or to be more of an action game. It was really neat that they added that in. I'm going to want to dive more into that later. But anyway, look at this. Like, I was playing so much last night because I was having so much fun, just going crazy. And in fact, after this stream, I might go stream Gundam Breaker 4 on Gundam Explained. So watch out for that. I might post in the Discord if I do that. I might take a little break. I'm getting over this science fiction. Take a little break, drink some tea, and then I might be over there in a little bit. So Chris says, in a sense, like the combat in DMC has the angel and demon weapons. Yeah, that's a good call out there because, that even reminds me with the builder parts. There's these extra builder parts you can add on to you, and then if you want, those have skills that then you can add on. It's really cool. There is a level of depth in Gundam Breaker 4 more than I thought. So that's great. All right, let's jump into some news. That's what I was playing yesterday, which I think is a lot. I'm very thankful. I'm in a situation where I could play that many games in a day. Okay, check this out. Bill Coon PS5 Pro leak. I'm very curious about this PS5 Pro. So from here, the TLDR is it's simply called PS5 Pro, and an announcement is expected in the first half of September. Design is slightly thicker than the PS5 Slim with 3 stripes down the middle instead of 1. They have seen the box for a model without a disk drive and can't verify if one with a disk drive exists yet. So I guess that's the news. Interesting, they've only seen with a model without a disk drive, which could be what the standard is. I'm very interested in seeing if when it comes out, it's like, there's no disk drive. This is the Pro. This has the 4 terabyte. I don't know. So let's go back and think about, is a PS5 Pro needed? From my perspective as a consumer, no. Not at all. Like getting some of these recent games like Stellar Blade, I still think Demon's Souls Remastered is one of the best looking games ever, and it's on the PS5. And playing it on a TV with the VRR, the PS5 already looks good. Sony themselves is I think is who wants this because people aren't moving on from a PS4. They could just play a PS4. It's still the biggest console with even from my perspective too, as a consumer, like the PS4 Pro would have been fine enough. So I think there's a difference between what a consumer wants and what Sony wants. And I don't know if this is the biggest time in the video game industry that there's been this division between the consumer. It's like how technology has changed so fast, so rapidly that there's more expectations from the consumer for a variety of different things. Like right now, I think it's more of, hey, we already have the tech, the hardware. We just want the good games. And I think Sony got in a situation where they were making a certain type of game and they were like, well, and the idea was making games that just looked really good. So on PS4 Pro, you could do that and play. And then the free-to-play games, since they're already on PS4, you don't need, so it like locks the PS4, for good reason. So a PS5 Pro would have to, the one thing that the rumor is the machine learning or the AI, I mean, but this is something that's actually going on with NVIDIA, graphics cards, AMD, things that have been around for a while anyway. And it's where you use software to kind of help with making the game look better, whether that's DLSS, any type of reconstruction, or AI guesswork. There is a drawback to that depending on the game, and that could be input latency. It would really depend on the game, the refresh rate, a lot of things there. I mean, depending on refresh rate, if you're doing something that's an adaptive style, you might not be able to be consistent. But what I think what they're going to try to do is have some sort of technology within this PS5 Pro that would have to make then the consumer want to buy a PS5 Pro. So the only thing I can think of is, like, if we look at Black Myth Wukong, that's a game that just came out on PS5, but doesn't run as good as it does on PC. So would that be the PS5 Pro then? It just can run Black Myth Wukong as good as PC? I feel like there would have to be more to it than that. So maybe hardware-wise, spec-wise, that's where the hard drive comes in, okay? So let's say they decide, you know what, we're going to throw in a 6 terabyte hard drive. So that way you could download all of the games you want, especially with now the higher textures. I'm sure the games are going to be bigger. I don't know. It's very interesting to see where they're going to go with this PS4. Yeah, and if it doesn't have a disc, that can kind of help offset price. I would also think, no, yeah, I don't know. There's so many questions I have about that. So let's see what happens. Let's move on real quick. Bungie's ex-marathon director was reportedly fired for misconduct. So that's a bit disappointing. I guess because, I don't want to go too far into this, but right now within the gaming industry, where we're seeing companies, closing down, games getting canceled, there is this, like, we want to look at the culprit. Is it the economy? Is it the industry? Is it technology? In this case, it was just someone's misconduct. Which, how far down did that cause a lot of the issues that were happening when they didn't need to happen in the first place? So I don't know. I'm just bringing it up because I find that to be kind of sad, disappointing. Because it's so hard to get video games right in the first place. You don't want misconduct to kind of be the reason. Let's see. And yeah, that's the thing, man, how they've fallen from, Bungie, from Microsoft. And I guess we were talking about that yesterday, right? Where, not that Microsoft meant to, but that giant company, kind of imparted their management style onto that small innovative team. And then that just kind of, it's almost like when, diluting water or something. I don't know. There's some sort of analogy. Autonomous is saying that reminds me how Marvel Heroes and that entire company got shut down just because of the CEO's misconduct. Wow, that sounds familiar. I don't remember. I'll have to look that up later, but that sounds familiar. That's another example. It's too bad. Okay, a rising tide floats all boats. Xbox on the universal benefits of accessible design. Yeah, we talked about this before. I think it's really cool that they came out with this control. Another example that I left out selfishly, when I was talking about how Microsoft does so many things to make gaming accessible. The most obvious one is these accessibility controllers. But before, I was just talking about how they did the backwards compatibility. They made live, the online thing, be a thing. Even when they had the red ring of death, they were willing to go in there and fix it all. Like, Microsoft, at the end of the day, is always trying to do best, even if their creative vision falls flat, which that's the thing. That's art. It's really hard to get that right. All right. Okay, this was the news about the PS5 Pro, so we talked about that. Konami acknowledges that Metal Gear Solid 4 is still only playable on PS3. Huh. Yeah, I still need to catch up on a lot of Metal Gear Solid 4, but Metal Gear Solid in general, but 4 is one I want to play. But you know what? I wonder if my first full sit down and play through without stopping will be the new 3, right? That's coming out. Because each one I start them and then I just stop for some reason. I don't know. It's pacing. Yeah, and it's something I gotta with the games made by Kojima. Because they're very narrative heavy. Sometimes there's pacing situations where don't feel the need to go back because I don't know what I'm going to get if it's going to be something more like story heavy at that moment. You know what I mean? It's like when I want my fix of a game, it's like I know what I'm going to get. That's why I like retro games. And that's why I think there's a difference between classic gaming and would you call it prestige gaming or would you call it something else where it's a difference in pacing. One is just a game you go, you play with the mechanics. The other is a kind of a lived-in experience. Yeah, experiential games versus classic games. I don't know. There's something there. Let's see. Yeah, misconduct thing. We heard that. Anything else? Yeah, I don't know. So, yeah, I think we're going to stop here. I'm going to take a little break, and then I am going to be back on the Gundam Explain channel. I am going to stream Gundam Breaker 4. That should be fun. So, yeah, we'll stop here. Good show, everyone. What was the main takeaways from today's show? I guess, personally, it's just this has been an awesome week of games. That surprise Castlevania drop. All those other cool games that's come out this week. It's been great. Otherwise, yeah, I think that's the main takeaway. Anyway, guys, we will talk tomorrow. Have a good one. See y'all later.